Do you need a controller, or is the iPad good enough to DJ with just the touchscreen? In this video, I'll go over the pros and cons of DJing with just the touchscreen. Number one is there are so many available DJ softwares for the iPad, so choosing the correct one will help you out. Out of all of them, only 3 of them you could actually DJ with, and that's going to be Cross DJ, DJing Mix, and Djay Pro. Also, the record box is decent if you are a record box user. But for me, if you're just using the touchscreen, then I would highly recommend using Djay Pro. So the difference between DJing with this app for the iPad and the laptop is the laptop you have to use the keyboard and stuff like that, and it's not a touchscreen. A lot of DJ controllers are now featuring touchscreens, and some features are really good for using the touchscreen, and some features are really hard and frustrating to use. So the first one is the jog wheels. Can you scratch with just the iPad? And the answer is yes. If you're good at scratching on a controller, it's pretty much the same concept. If you have the rhythm and the muscle memory down, then you'll be able to translate what you can do on a controller on the iPad. With Djay Pro in classic mode, they do have a really good emulated record deck. These are nice big jog wheels, and out of any jog wheel that I've used on other iPad software, these ones are the most responsive, and if you actually have the rhythm down and you follow the beat, you'll be able to scratch decently if you're good at scratching. Next is sliders. Sliders work really well on the iPad. So if I open up our EQ slider, these sliders work really good, and it's actually, in my mind, it's easier to control the EQs with sliders instead of knobs. And I actually own the one of the only controllers that has these sliders as the EQs instead of knobs. And I thought it was a cool idea, and I hope that more controllers come out with it. But that being said, the controls that are really frustrating are going to be the knobs. So you could do a Nero mix EQ here, or you could do a regular equalizer. So these knobs are in my opinion some of the hardest things to use if you're just using the iPad. So you could do it, but it's kind of weird because you have to grab it, and then you could use any part of the screen to control it, and then sometimes your finger slips and you do the wrong one, which is bad. The cool thing is if you double tap it, then they go right back to the middle, so it's an easy way to go back to the middle. Controllers and CDJs and mixers, they have a little tab there so you can tell when you're in the middle, so it's kind of equivalent with the double tap. Speaking of that, there are some good kind of shortcuts that are touchscreen only. Number one is with the crossfader. So right now, the crossfader is on deck 1 over here. But what you can do is you could tap the middle, and then it'll play both tracks. And then as soon as you let go, it'll cut it back. Kind of equivalent to moving the crossfader like this, like you'd be used to. So you could do chirp scratches and other scratches like that, or do DJ tricks where you cut and cut out. And another knob are these little gain controls that are kind of hard to use on just the iPad. You can do anything that you could do on a controller with just the iPad with Djay Pro. So if we go in the Pro mode, here you can access most of the features at the same time. So you could see your waveforms, you have your jog wheels, and then you could control all the features here. So you don't need to be using the controller for anything. And then also, if you are going to use a controller, it's a good idea to get used to these touch controls, because some controllers, like this Numark DJ2Go touch and other small or mid-range controllers, aren't going to have every feature that you need when you're DJing, so you're going to have to do it on the touchscreen. Another thing is, if something fails, if your controller breaks and you're doing a gig, you'll know what to do because you could DJ on the iPad. And with all the new DJ tricks and DJ techniques that you learn, I recommend learning them on the iPad first and then learning them on the controller, so you could always just use your iPad as a backup. Now, how are you going to get your audio and your music out of just your iPad? The benefit of having a controller is having a built-in sound card. So you got your main output there, and then you can plug your headphones right there, and you don't need an adapter. Well, depending on what iPad you're using, and I would recommend you use an iPad Pro with USB-C connection, you are going to need adapters. So one thing that you're going to want to do when you start DJing and start doing gigs and start getting more professional with it is using your headphones while you DJ for pre-cueing. So now in order to do that, we are going to need one of these. This is going to allow us to connect an audio jack into our iPad. For some reason, Apple decided to get rid of the audio jacks, which makes it a little more complicated. So with this adapter, and make sure you get one that charges, because you're going to need to keep your iPad powered up because the battery doesn't last forever. So now this is going to plug into there. So now we have 2 ports. One is going to be to charge. Now, some of these worked well, some of them didn't, some of them stopped working. So I would highly recommend that you test out these adapters, make sure they charge more than you use, because when you're DJing, your screen's going to be bright and you're going to be using a lot of power. And I've had ones that didn't charge enough and I ran out of power and ruined the whole gig. And then next we're going to need one of these. This is a headphone splitter cable. So now we have 2 adapters plugged in. And now you do your main output in one, your headphones in the other. So this will work good. You'll get good quality audio. But if something goes wrong with one of these adapters, they get unplugged a little bit, or some of them aren't the best quality, you might lose some audio quality and lose some reliability by using a lot of adapters. And then also, if you're going to spend the money for all these adapters, you could have just got a controller like this, the Newmark DJ2Go Touch, with the built-in sound card, and it's less than $100. Another adapter that you might need is going to be one of these. This is if you do decide to get a controller, but you could still DJ without a controller, and you could connect in a HDMI cable to take advantage of Djay Pro's amazing video mixer mode, and you can do that without a controller. And to learn more about Djay Pro's video mode, check out this video over here.